I'm sure you've heard it before, but hearing it and understanding it and knowing how to do it are not always the same thing. Here's what I'm sure as a leader you've heard before. You need to delegate more. You need to delegate more of your responsibilities. You don't need to be doing everything yourself. You can't get it all done by yourself. You need to delegate more. And while that is absolutely true, great leaders are great delegators. What is equally true is that many people do not know the difference between delegating and dumping. And that's what today's episode is all about. I'm Dr. Derek Noble, and this is Lead Through Communication, a video series where I partner with you. I become your coach, and I help you to become a better leader by helping you to become a better communicator, because leadership and communication go hand in hand. The best leaders are leaders who understand that I have people on my team who are great at what they do. We talked about that in the previous episode. They have great attitude, they have great ability, and because of that, I need to delegate responsibility to them. As a matter of fact, let me put an asterisk here and say, the only people on your team to whom you need to delegate more responsibility are those people who fall into that superstar category. Go back to that previous episode where we talked about 4 types of employees. Those who are in the superstar category are people who have great ability and they have great attitudes. They are the only ones who are ready for delegation. But it's not easy to delegate when we don't really understand what delegation is. And I venture to say, in fact, I've seen this with a lot of leaders I've worked with. A lot of leaders think that they are delegating when in actuality what they're doing is dumping. So I'm going to explain to you the difference between delegating and dumping, and you're going to notice that the first step to each of these is actually the same. Let's first talk about delegating. There are actually 3 steps to correctly delegating responsibility. And by delegating, we mean looking at some of your responsibilities and giving them away. There are 3 steps to being a delegator. Step number 1 is you need to know your job description thoroughly. I think that goes without saying. You cannot delegate or give away your responsibilities if you don't know very clearly what your responsibilities are. So the first step of delegation is know your job description. You're going to see when we get to dumping that is also the first step to dumping, but they diverge from there. But let's stick with delegating for right now. The first step to delegation is I need to know my job description. I need to know in and out what is expected of me as the leader. The second step in delegation is I need to know the strengths of the people on my team. As the leader, you need to know what the people on your team are good at and what they're not so good at. You need to know the things that you can give to them because they're able to do them, and you need to know the things that you probably shouldn't give to them because they're not good at them. For example, let's say you have somebody on your team, you're the leader, and you have one of your employees or somebody on your team who is a really good orator or they're good at presenting. Well, maybe you can delegate to them the responsibility of leading the staff meeting. You don't always have to lead the staff meeting. If you have somebody on your team who's comfortable in front of a crowd and can lead and can speak and can keep a conversation going, maybe you need to let them run the staff meeting instead of you doing it all the time. See, that's an example of you knowing their strengths. So before you can delegate, you first have to know what your responsibilities are. And then secondly, you need to know the strengths of the people on your team. The third step of delegation is you then give away some of your responsibilities based on the strengths of the people on your team. Since I know I have somebody on my team who's a good orator, I'm going to give them the responsibility of running the staff meeting. Or since I know I have somebody on my team who is really good with grammar and spelling, I'm going to have them write the company newsletter or have them send out the emails. I need to know what they're good at, and I can give them responsibility based on what they're good at. Now, when you do that, the employee is going to be grateful because the employee will realize that you understand what they're good at. The employee knows, hey, they finally are starting to see that I'm good at some things, and it gives them a sense of pride, okay? That's what delegation is. Those are the 3 steps to delegation. Know your job description, know the strengths of the people on your team, and give them responsibilities based on their strengths. But now let's go to the other side. Some of us think we are delegating when in actuality we are only dumping. Here's what dumping is. There are also 3 steps to dumping. And the first step to dumping is also the first step to delegation. The first step to dumping is I need to know my job description. There are things on my job description. I need to know everything on my job description in and out. That's the first step of dumping. The second step of dumping is where things start to change. Second step of dumping is this. Once I look at my job description, I decide which items of my job description I absolutely hate doing. I don't like doing this stuff. I detest doing this stuff. Let's say, for instance, one of your job descriptions is that you have to make a report to the employees about something, and you don't like making reports. Or let's say your job description is, one of your job descriptions is that you have to run the staff meeting. I hate running, oh gosh, I can't stand staff meeting. And every time you do a staff meeting, people can tell you don't like staff meeting, okay? So the second step of delegating is I need to figure out the stuff that I hate doing. And then the third step of delegating is I'm gonna give away the stuff that I don't wanna do, okay? I know my job description. I know what I don't like to do, and then I'm going to give that to somebody else. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call dumping. Dumping is when there's something you don't want to do and you give it to somebody else. Now, can you see the difference between delegating and dumping? When you delegate, the people to whom you delegate are excited because they know that you have faith in them, that you trust them. On the other side of that, when you're dumping, the people on whom you are dumping your responsibility know, now the only reason she's telling me to do that is because she doesn't want to do it. The only reason he's telling me to do that is because he doesn't want to do it. So they don't feel empowered. They feel dumped upon. They feel as if you are giving them your grunt work. You're giving them their dirty work. One yields pride and the other yields resentment. You must know the difference between delegating and dumping. Be honest. How many of you, based on this lesson now, realize that you were actually dumping when you thought you were delegating? Now that you know the difference, I want you to be a delegator and not a dumper. Thank you for listening and watching. I want you to like and subscribe. Go to the bottom of this video, like and subscribe. And I also want you to follow me on social media. I'm all over the place. Dr. Derek Noble. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I am a certified speech coach and a leadership coach. And part of my responsibility is to partner with you to help you take your leadership and your communication skills to the next level of excellence. I'll see you next time.